Hi all, so after showing out the workflow, how to export from Rhino to Illustrator, we are just going to focus on now how to export the axonometry, the exploded axo from Rhino to Illustrator. There are many ways of doing this. The way I'll actually use it is going to be actually literally splitting up the model into 3 phases. So, and that's why it's always good practice to have them in different layers. Like this, you can actually select what you want and move it around and drag it around. So basically that's what I did. I have the other model, original model. I duplicated it, so made it a copy, and after making the copy, it just because I have all my objects independently applied. Um, just separate them and move them vertically, and that can be done in this view, and allows you to be very accurate about the way you can use the gumball, or you can just use the move command and just drag wherever it needs to be done. It needs to be, maybe it's too far, maybe this doesn't need to be that far apart. The same thing with these. Of the floor, because it's not overriding, and obviously because that also relates the amount of space that you have in your page, so you can start forcing those kind of issues, right? So I started to make it a bit more concise, that will fit better, like in an A3. You can imagine if this is the rectangle, the A3, this fits much better than being stretched out. So basically trying to put in this parallel view and go make 2D. And select objects to draw. Press enter. Again, parallel view, that's correct. That's what I want to see. Outline, silhouette, group output. So that means all the lines will be grouped. And I'm going to put here, not because I already have isometric 2D, I'm going to do exploded. Apply. So that will create a new layer here. And while it's producing the drawing itself. So again, it's the same thing. It's going to be producing another drawing. It's going to place it on exactly the same spot. So be aware, using the layers, it's very important, because it's going to deploy it over the other drawing. Here we go. And if you turn on the other one, you'll see it goes on top of it, right? So it's good practice to move it around, or can have it in the same place, but have different layers. So once you have this, again, it's just a 2D drawing, as you can see, when it's here. Or if you want to go into the perspective view, set view, perspective, and as you can see, there are flat lines. So basically we go here to the top, select that, our exploded view, and you can file, place, file export, sorry, not export, export selected. Otherwise it will export everything, and that will be unnecessary. File export selected, so select the object. It will ask you if you didn't select previously, and I'll put exploded XF, export. Again, it's a DXF and 2007 polylines in export. Okay, so now it's successfully exported, so we can go and move to Illustrator. So now, which we had before, in order to get that kind of element, so we had this, which is the initial model, similar to that. I just used the black instead of the blue. But what we want to do now is add the second step, which is actually what we have is here, but we can definitely modify it and try to go one step behind in Illustrator. You don't need to model it as well. So basically what we'll need to add another page, and then it's always, I always use it. I mean, you can use it in small pages, it's fine. If you want happy, just scale it down, but you need to scale down progressively. So if you have this 50%, and I want to add another 50% scale to the next page. So what I'm going to do is go in here to the layer or the artboards, or you can also go again from the window artboards, and add for another artboard. By default, this new artboard, it will copy the same element that it was before, so it's an A3 landscape. So, and it activates it. So that's what we are in. I'm having this layer on this one. If you want for organization, let's put it 1, and then select layer 2, and we'll place this one under the layer 2 like this. Everything will be in their own layer. Can place and exploded the XF, place, and it will bring it in. So merge swatches, you say yes, press OK, and again you start seeing already the model here. Again, if you click only once, it will give you the maximum dimension of the page. So we know that's an A3 for sure, but we know that we reduced this. In this case, it's more or less the same scale because it fitted on the page, right? So actually, if we overlay, it's very much the same dimension. Okay, so that works for us. Or we are just lucky, to be honest. But again, if you want to move it around, if you want to place it and reduce it, please reduce it with the percentage with that needs to be reduced with. So again, if it comes in, again you see that there's no drawings here. You see these lines, but again they became white, or they don't seem to pop up again, but they are there, as you can see. And that's because, again, if you select this, actually they were blue, but again, they were probably exported and exported as black elements, and that's why they are there, but they need to be painted again with different colors. Again, as you can see, there's multiple colors in this drawing, so red, blue, and there's the white. So that's why once I choose the stroke element, just shows it multiple colors. As you can see, the question marks popping up there, right? So what we'll do is double click on the question mark, and again put the black and choose the black colors. Press OK, and now everything is going to be black. So now we can start you can start choosing what color you want to operate under. And again, it's going to be 2 colors, 1 gradient, and for that, that's what I recommend. And in this case, I'll use the gradient black, gray, and a punch color, which is going to be red. So in this case, I used the blue, 2 blue colors, dark blue, light blue, and the punching color is going to be the yellow to show what's the addition, what's new on this model, and that's what you need to focus on. So in this case, I'm going to do 2 rectangles, and that will give you, in this case, once you draw it, and because it's drawn like this, as you can see, it basically draws a rectangle or a square. In this case, I did that has a line black but no background. So in this case, I'm going to also use the background black. Press OK, and oops. It didn't activate it because it's transparent, so we actually need to go to the color here, and now it's activated. Press OK. And so I have one. I'll do Control-C, Control-V, and this will align itself, and I'll get a gray color for this one. So once I make it activated, it will get you a gray color. So always work around on these ones. So I'll get this gray, middle gray, I'll say. Press OK. And finally, I'll do copy paste. So you can still see that there is a line around it. I don't want that line to be in here. It is in both squares, but actually I want the stroke to disappear. So I choose the stroke and make it disappear. So now it's disappeared. So if I go to this one, to this square, again it has the stroke. I'll select the stroke and disappear. So it's all fine. So I'll use another one. Control C, Control V, and zoom out. The zoom is Z, just like in Photoshop, and so the shortcuts are the same for all Adobe apps. And in this case, I'm going to use some live color to show, okay, this is what I'm going to add to my project. So, and that is going to be a very bright phosphorescent pink. So yeah, this is going to be my colors. And why I use this, because now you can use the eyedropper and just drag and drop. So one thing that needs to be aware is that there's two forms of shapes. There's the filled and the one that only has the outline or the stroke. So if you want to fill in this area, for example, and if you want to use that line or that color, what's going to happen is going to actually copy all the characteristics. So actually, if, for example, if I have a rectangle here, and it's a default rectangle, as you see, no fill and black outline. If I go use the eyedropper into this, right? I also need to select always use the eyedropper, and basically it changes everything, right? So it copied that it wants the fill, so it took out the black outline. So you need to be careful with that as well, to see what you actually want to add on. So if you want some outlines, you do this Control C, Control V, and put the outline here as well on this element. You can just switch, and if you want this one to be applied to that object again, you go eye picker and select this, and then it applies it. Okay. So in this case, you can also already see the stroke and the stroke color. You can also see make it different type of strokes and actually using dashed lines and everything. So again, you need to select in order to activate it. Yep. So that's how we are going to use and operate with our isometric. So in order to start doing it and start applying, the first thing, if you operate, because everything is grouped, you cannot ungroup. There's no explode here. There's only the right click and ungroup. So once you ungroup, sometimes you need to ungroup more than once, but sometimes you don't. So this is difficult to operate in, but because everything is one line, and once you explode or ungroup, everything becomes all small individual lines. So it's not really ideal to work like that. But in order to fill in this kind of elements, there's one way, which is the paint bucket, and but it might give you some headaches, and there's workarounds around it. So I'm going to do the difficult way and use the paint bucket and start saying, okay, so I have my paint bucket, and this is, if you double click, paint fills, paint strokes. If you want, you can activate that as well. So basically, I'm just going to change paint fills, and in this case, it's going to be operating in that manner. So I needed to paint here. If I click here, because there's nothing, you can see that that icon there. The icon is a forbidden over the paint bucket. Why? It's because I didn't select anything. So basically, if I select everything here, what it's going to look at is, do I have areas to paint? And if you're lucky, it will allow you. In this case, it is going to select, oh look, there's all these areas that you want to paint, what you want to paint it with. And at this time, you actually have the same thing, a stroke, not a fill. And actually what we want is painted with, let's say, the pink. But you see that it doesn't give you the red a good outcome, right? So what you need to do is go use this one and select the paint bucket now. Select whatever you have here and go with the paint bucket and try to start painting what could be a live paint group. Sometimes it allows you to do it, some other, you see, so it clicked, and now here it's active. What you need to go is pick up those colors that you had here. So try to emulate that, or color swatches if you want. You can pick up the pink magenta, press OK, and start deploying it. So again, it might create different areas if you don't have closed curves or things like that, right? But generally, it does give you the work, and press cancel, and it just populates it like that. So, but again, as you see, it's not linear. There's another way of doing it, is by using the hatch in Rhino and import it with a hatch. And I'm going to do that now, just for your guidance next word in the next phase. But so this is one way of adding this paint. That's the paint bucket. And if you want to change the strokes of the rest of the drawing, you need to actually go and ungroup and select which lines do you want to actually create and isolate isolate selected groups, and then you can start selecting the lines that you want to operate with. So again, if you want all of these lines to be one color or another color, it's better to operate with layers and import them then differently. But in this case, so we have having black, we select the lines, and luckily we already have it black. Again, select the stroke, and if I want it to be again green, it will become sorry, not blue. That's okay. They'll become blue, right? And but that's what we did. So actually, we are not going to use the blue. We are using black, and we are happy with it. So, and you see here that's live paint. That's because I double selected. If you select outside, then it becomes live again. All right. So now we'll go into how to do the axonometric, and also to fill in, for example, instead of using paint bucket, in using already hatch in Rhino in order to avoid the paint bucket elements.